Can people get healed? Can people heal through their own healing abilities? Today, I have a guest, and this is Jessica Scott, and she has her personal story. She recovered from cancer. Last year, she was still struggling with cancer, and this year, she is cancer free. And I am delighted to witness this healing, not directly, but have this miraculous story happening around me. And now I would like to welcome Jessica Scott. Thank you so much for joining this video. Thank you for willing to be on this interview and share your story, which I think is just so beautiful and it can help so many people.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to share.
So everyone who is watching this video, you who are watching this video, don't go anywhere. And maybe this is not for you, but I'm sure it can be for some of your friends or family members. So please stay on and also give it a like, click the like button, subscribe. So it helps the algorithm of this video and more people can see this video and more people can benefit. So thank you so much and welcome to Silvie Lockerova Healing Channel. And let's start. So Jessica, I would like to introduce you, how we met, and then maybe you can pick up and continue.
Okay.
So we met with Jessica through an online healing network. And Jessica was introduced herself as mother of 5 children who is struggling with cancer. And she offered she would like to exchange healing session for people who do the similar kind of healing session, which is emotion code, body code, or belief code. And that kind of drew my attention. I decided I'm going to email her. For whatever reason, I thought that should be a good exchange session. So I emailed you and we scheduled a healing session. We had with each other a bunch of healing sessions. And that all happened last year. And this year you are cancer free.
Yep.
So, you have been on this healing journey for some time, and you practiced healing on yourself. You had a bunch of other healing practitioners. You had certain healing lifestyle, and I think you decided to do an alternative healing way, right?
Correct. Yep.
So please share your healing journey with us.
So this really started about 11 years ago. After I had my son, Jackson, he was my firstborn. So I have 3 of my own kids, and then I have 2 stepchildren. And when I had Jackson 11 years ago, he was born with Down syndrome. And we had no idea prior to him being delivered that he had Down syndrome. So we were just kind of like thrown into it. And shortly after I had him, I started experiencing different symptoms, like a loss of sensation on one side. I had different neurological type symptoms, and I immediately realized this insane fear that I had for having some really, really bad, like health issue going on. Like I was really worried, like I had cancer, and I was really worried I had, you know, a tumor in my brain, or all these different things. And that's really where like my healing journey started, I would say. Um, and I think ultimately the fear stemmed from the fear of not being around for my son for his entire life. You know, as you know, Down syndrome, you know, I'm going to need to be around for Jackson, or I'd hope to be around for Jackson, you know, for a long time, because he's going to need me, or caregivers for life. And so it really started back then. I continued on having different neurological symptoms. I got checked for MS and different things. And they never found anything. About a year later, I got pregnant with my daughter, had her. During my pregnancies, a lot of the symptoms went away. After I had her, I had quite a few more symptoms. But this idea that I could not figure out what was going on with my body, and doctors had no idea, kind of set me on this journey of holistic healing, like whole body healing. And so that's really where I got started with the idea of being able to heal my body. During this time, I had noticed, for some reason, and maybe it's because I saw more and more people being diagnosed with cancer, but it became such an intense fear for me, almost like an unhealthy fear. Like when I would see GoFundMe pages on Facebook or Instagram, I would immediately, like, it would draw me into such a panic. Um, and so I really kind of tried to get to like the core of where this fear was coming from. And I started learning more about, and it never felt right in my soul, like poisoning the body to make the body well. Like that's just my own personal belief. And I believe that there is a time and a place for everything, and everyone is entitled to their own, um, you know, their own choices when it comes to their own body. But for me, something with it just did not resonate. And um, that is when I found like uh, the truth about cancer, and all these different shows that kind of are these different crispy cancer, all these different series that explained like the natural healing ability of the body. And um, it really took away a little bit of that fear that I had as far as cancer goes. And you know, I experienced a lot of trauma in my life, and especially in the last 11 years. Um, and I was under a constant state of fight or flight. And fast forward to 2000, I think it's 21. Maybe it's 2021, maybe, is when I first felt a lump in my right breast. Was breastfeeding my son. I breastfed him for 3.5 years, maybe why it took me so long to identify that there was a lump in my breast. And I had doctors feel it, in OBGYN. They thought it was just breast tissue, like fibrous breast tissue, like there's no reason for concern. Fast forward to 2022, um, I quit breastfeeding my son. I'm not sure the exact timeline, but somewhere around there. And the lump was still there, maybe a little bit bigger. Um, and it was, let's see, December of 2022. And I saw a natural minded doctor, and they're like, you know, you might as well just get that checked out. And so I did. And I got results back right away. And they basically said it was like a category 5, which is like 90 to 95% chance that it's cancerous. And I ended up doing the ultrasound, which I fought for months, because they wanted to do a biopsy, and or not a biopsy, but a mammogram. And mammograms can be very, very damaging to breast tissue, and can even lead to breast cancer. And anyways, I was scared. I was by myself in the office. They kind of rushed me into a mammogram right after I had a mammogram, same thing, category 5. And then they're like, they didn't tell me that, but they're like, we need you to come back the next day, like within the next couple of days, to have a biopsy. And I was by myself, and I left kind of traumatized. So I scheduled the biopsy, and like everything I had learned in the last 8 or 9 years of researching cancer and breast cancer, and I had always believed in my core that biopsies spread cancer, and there's a lot of information out there to verify this, and it just did not feel right to me. So I canceled that biopsy, and I was like, okay, well, maybe I can find a surgeon to take out the lump, since there's a high probability that it is cancerous, and then I can have the biopsy done after. Well, I learned a lot about the medical system and just exactly how everything works, and I could not find a surgeon to take it out of my body. So I went on a natural healing journey, and for the next, so that was in December that I found that out. For the next 9 months, I did everything that I could think of. I did a lot of emotional work. I did juicing. I met with different practitioners. I met with lots of different healers. I did a lot of my own self-healing. Um, and one of the things that I kept coming back to was fear. And it was such a huge, huge part of, in my opinion, how I got here. And also something that was holding back my healing. So I ended up finding, I was about ready to go to Mexico to have this lump removed because I couldn't get it done in the United States. And I ended up being directed to a surgeon who was willing to do an excisional biopsy. I ended up having the lump removed, and in October of 2023, was diagnosed with invasive ductal carcinoma. I chose not to have any of my lymph nodes removed, because I think I need my lymph nodes. And if there are cancerous cells in there, I believe that's my body doing its job. And I really stuck to like my gut and what I felt was right for my healing path. Um, they recommended chemo and radiation, even though chemo, there's like my testing came back and it's like less than 1% effective. They still recommend it. They recommended radiation right away. They recommended hormone um, hormone inhibitors to basically put myself into menopause. And I really just took a break and decided on what I wanted to do. And I decided to go against all of that. And that was a really, again, fear was just such a huge part of all of it. But at the end of the day, believed that my body could heal. And so fast forward to the whole next year, basically, doing all of these healing modalities, just one after another, like every day, juicing and a lot of plant-based. I had plant-based diet. I continued seeing all my healers and my natural practitioner, naturopathic oncologist. All my blood work looked good. And then it was in like October and November, and this unrelenting fear just was debilitating me. And I was having so many different symptoms in my body. And I think this is around the time that I got in contact with you, Silvie. And we connected and we started exchanging sessions, and you had redirected me to Dr. Joe Dispenza's work.
And you were already familiar with his work, right? Correct?
Yes. So for years, I had his book, Becoming Supernatural. I had tried his meditations, and I had always told myself, I'm not very good at meditating because my mind would wander. And now I know, there's no such thing as a bad meditation. And well, I was having all these different symptoms, and like I said, he redirected me back to his work, and I um I was going back and forth about having a scan done on my body. I believe that scans can be very necessary, but I believe that they can be very damaging for the body, and the stuff that they inject into your body to do these scans, all of it. I was just going back and forth, and I was kind of stuck in this cycle of just fear and being scared. And it was in December of 2024. I think we had a session, and you had again redirected me to Joe Dispenza's work, and you're like, just go on and listen to these testimonies, to all these people healing from cancer, and stage 4, incurable, all different diseases, people instantaneously healing in an instant. And it gave me so much hope. After a couple of days of listening to these healing testimonies, I started meditating. And
so you started Dr. Joe's meditation.
Yeah, I started Dr. Joe's meditations. Correct. I was on day 3, and I think it was a Monday. And between like the healing testimonies and just feeling good about what I was doing, I called my dad, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to make the appointment to get this scan. It's like this courage built up in me, and I was like, I'm just going to face it. And like I said, I was dealing with so many symptoms, a lot of pain in my bones, and crazy amounts of pain all over my body. And I was just certain that there was something more going on in my body. But anyways, I made that decision to call the doctor, and I scheduled the scan. And I think it was that day or the next day, I did this meditation, and it was one of the most profound experiences of my entire life. And it has completely changed my life forever. In this meditation, it guided me to come up with an emotion that had been holding me back. And this emotion for me was fear. And it's been fear for the last 11 years since I had my son. And, what would your life look like without this fear? And I just imagined, for anyone that experiences a diagnosis, you realize just how, every single time I would hug my kids or lay them down at night, in the back of my mind, what if this is the last time that I'm going to be able to do this? You always have this fear looming, and what it would feel like to go throughout my days completely unbothered by cancer, what it would feel like to have cancer not be the first thing that I think about in the morning. What would it feel like to hug and kiss my kids and play around like a little kid, and all of these different things? What would your life look like without this fear? And that emotion was so, and I started visualizing all these things during this meditation. And then the next part of the meditation is, what does your future self look like in this quantum field? And for someone that really never has gotten super deep into a meditation, I was not fully awake, but I was not fully asleep. I was somewhere in between, aware of, I don't know how to describe it, but all of a sudden I had this vision of my future self in this quantum field. And it was me as this old lady, and my son Jackson is this little old man, and we were old together. And I was hugging him and embracing him. And there was this white light all around me. And it was like the most unbelievable experience of my most real experience of my life. Like the details of our faces, like I can still see it. And it was without a doubt like my future self with my son when we were old in the quantum field. And then I saw like my daughter. I was sitting around the dinner table with my daughter, and she was there, and she had a daughter, and my granddaughter looked exactly like me and her. And I was just kissing their heads and smelling them, and I could smell them like in this vision that I had. And um it was just unbelievable, and it was so real. And when I ended up coming out of this meditation, when I like woke up from it, my body like shook and trembled for 4 hours. Like it was the most unbelievable experience of my life. And every ounce of fear gone. Like never in 11 years have I experienced anything like that. Um, and during that meditation, he also directs you to a part where it's like, okay, ask universe, ask source to show you a sign that you made connection with your future self, that you made connection with this divine source. And one thing that I did after I immediately made a voice memo in my phone recording this exact experience for future me that had to go through anything scary, that had to face anything. Like I basically recorded saying like, this is your future. This is what's going to happen in your future. And like, do not fear. Like, no matter what you have to go through, everything is going to be okay. And um, so like a few days later, I ended up having to go to the doctor and get some blood work done. And he wanted to see me early because of all the symptoms I was having. And, I got up the courage, and normally when I walk into the oncologist's office, I'm shaking, trembling, sweating, full body experience. And I was calm. And I was like, it was crazy. It was completely different than anything I had ever experienced. And again, I asked for this sign that I had made this connection. And I went through the appointment, and I did blood work. And I was walking out of the doctor's office by myself, feeling good somehow. And I walked directly into my son's ABA therapist. And the little backstory about this is his name is Ike, and I always called him like our angel. He got brought into our home to take care of my son and work with him because he has autism too, to work with him during this healing period that I had when I was healing from breast cancer. And he was there at my house every single day, and he did so much more than he had to. He included my other children and played with my other children when I couldn't. And I literally just always referred to him as like our angel. And long story short, he ended up leaving for a different position eventually. And I was absolutely devastated when he left. I was so emotional about it for a couple of weeks. He was just such a huge part of our lives. And I had not seen or talked to him in like 8 months. And like I would call him Jackson's angel. So the exact, Jackson is the one that I had the vision about. And I walked out of my oncology appointment, and I walked into his truck. Like I literally walked into his truck, and I walked into him. And this place was 40 minutes away from anything, out in the middle of nowhere, had not seen or talked to him in 8 months. And it was just like, I literally wept. And it was just an unbelievable, it's like everything is so connected. And from that point forward, everything has been so connected, like different things, different signs from the universe, from God, guiding every step of this journey. When I was able to let go of this fear, my whole life changed. And I ended up having that scan, and it came back negative, or came back completely clear from everything. that I was worried about, that I was scared about. And it's just been such an amazing experience. It hasn't always been easy by any means, but it's just been really, really remarkable, like this whole evolution of myself. And as a healer that helps other people heal, like that's what I do. That is what my passion is, to help others heal. But like this experience has really, really helped me to get on like the other side of like what people experience when they come to me, like fear, like am I ever going to heal, am I ever going to get better, are these symptoms ever going to get away, or going to go away. And it's just been really remarkable. So that's kind of where I'm at now. Yeah, I don't know if I covered everything, but
Yeah, that's really wonderful. I just want to like mention few things. So for you guys listening to this video, listening to what Jessica says. So the meditations and healing testimonials are from Dr. Joe Dispenza, who is actually like who is an author of few books. One of them is Becoming Supernatural, and he does a lot of healing seminars and retreats. But you can also like just meditate, and what Jessica was listening, and I've got kind of inspired by these healing testimonials, are people who meditated these meditations, quantum meditations, pretty much, when you are going beyond yourself, when you connect to the emotion you want to feel. And always Dr. Joe says you have to change, and it's all about the change. It's basically like, yes, you want to heal, but you cannot heal without changing. So it normally addresses beliefs. What do you believe about yourself, about life? And when people actually had their healing experience, it was purely from meditating and changing. Something within them changed, and then everything changed. And that I'm just so happy to be in direct witness and see that with you, Jessica. And also I'm remembering that you experienced, you mentioned you experienced a moment being in a present moment. You, if I may say, like with whatever stayed in my head from our conversation, that you walked in the woods and you experienced
oh yes,
present moment.
so after this, like I really stayed on top of the meditations. There's a couple of things I want to say. So I was like, I don't know how to explain it, but so connected with like God, source, through these meditations. Like I would walk through the woods. There was a time I was walking through the woods and I was doing like this walking meditation, and I was down on my hands and knees watching snow melt off a tree, bawling my eyes in such gratitude, like genuine gratitude for every like living thing, for every single moment. For it was just the most beautiful thing. And that is exactly, they talk about people have these like these instant healings, or these healings that happen really rapidly. It is through change, and it's becoming the new version of yourself. And I'm so glad that you brought that up, because the biggest thing is focusing on what you want to be in the future, and focusing on that, because sometimes our symptoms, sometimes the fear, sometimes the things are so debilitating that all of our energy is going there. But really, your energy flows where your attention is. And if you're focusing on these symptoms and this disease and all of these things, that's where all of your energy is going to go. It's not going towards the new you that you're creating. So one of the things that Dr. Joe Dispenza talks about doing is saying the word change any single time that you have a thought that is no longer serving you, or you have a thought that, so for example, just some of the trauma that I've dealt with in the last 10 years, or different people or different situations, um, even those things hurt, and I start a normal person be like, why are these things happening to me? Like, you have like this victim mentality, immediately say change, and like, no, this is happening for me. These people are falling out of my life for me. This is happening for my good. Or, I have this fear coming up, or I have this pain, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like, what if it's that change? Like, I am healthy, I am well. And you don't even realize how many of these emotions or these feelings or these situations that happen throughout the day that are not serving your highest good, and that are really holding you back from what you want to become. And so that was like the biggest thing for me. And at first, the first couple of days that I started doing this, I was saying change like every minute almost. Like, you don't even realize how many thoughts go past our mind every single day that are not controlled, or like I said, that are not serving us. So yeah.
I just want to say to that scientifically proven, we are using consciously 5% of our brain. Yep. And the 95% are our subconscious programs. So with this healing process, you must actually become very conscious of your thoughts and of your old programming. And you really need to like change constantly.
Yeah.
So that's like a major thing. And that also requires you to step out of this victim mentality. So what probably happened, you had to investigate who was that victim and why, and heal that part of you, and take your power in. You are in a present moment, right? You change, you are now, and you bring that feeling of gratitude. This is the highest frequency. This is where you want to be. This is the healing moment. And you had spontaneous healing. And basically what I see, everything changed with this healing, not only your physical body, but like everything, like you becoming more joyful.
Yes.
Perhaps more abundant with, I don't mean only like, that's not about money being abundant, as about friends, about sources, about joy, and everything.
Yeah, it is. I mean, the things that, since this happened, and since really becoming this newer version of myself, everything has just become better. Like, all of the chaos going on in the world, it's like I can live in this, and it's not always perfect. Not saying I don't have stressful moments, but it's nothing like it was. And it wasn't just, things are flowing into my life so much more easily, and like good things, good opportunities, so much more joy, so much more less, like so many less reactions from me in situations that would normally trigger me. It's a beautiful way of being, and it takes work. Like, it really does. It takes a consistent work, but the work that you do is so, like, when I'm able to just silence my mind and meditate, and not have those racing thoughts, and really, it's my favorite part of my day. It's the favorite part of, in the morning or before I go to bed. It's just so necessary. And I don't know, it's thank you for redirecting me back to what I already knew in the first place. But sometimes it's like, maybe it just isn't the right time, or the circumstances aren't what they are supposed to be, or it wasn't supposed to happen right at that time. But it really, really saved me in so many ways.
Well, it saved you, and you are a living example of miracles which are possible, and you inspire me. I'm so grateful to see this experience which you had, and share that with others, and also, not just that, I was inspired myself listening to all these testimonials when people experience their healing, and it's all about stepping into your power, which means taking responsibility for your life, knowing that what you could create with your beliefs or trapped emotions, you can also change. You can change yourself, and you can change the health. So it's not the disease anymore, but you change, and it's all about changing.
Yep. Great way to do, it's just all about who you become and what your future looks like, and making those necessary changes every single day, even in the hardest times, to really step into that new you. Like anytime, I have, even still, if I have symptoms or um, things going on with my body, say I'm healed. Like I am 100% healed. My body's just catching up. And every single time I have any of those emotions or things that are not serving me, I say change immediately. And the more you do it, the easier it becomes, and your whole life just changes. And it's really amazing.
It really is. So I'm absolutely grateful for that. Is there, Jessica, anything what you would suggest to people who are struggling with a physical misalignment, with a disease or with cancer?
My biggest suggestion is to start watching videos, reach out to people that are doing it. No matter where you are at in your journey, the most important aspect is hope. And with hope, absolutely anything is possible. There is always hope, no matter how far down the road you are with whatever illness, and mental illness, physical illness, whatever it is. Hope is the key. And so everything that you listen to, watch, needs to be things that are providing hope, things that are giving you life. And if you don't have hope, you need to find hope, and you need to find the people and the resources that are going to give that to you.
Exactly. So this is very important. There is not only one way.
Right.
And maybe something what you didn't know before, now with your openness, this message, these resources are actually available. So this is important. Okay, that's not only about health. This is about anything. There are resources, and many different ways. The beauty of quantum healing and these meditations, and what Dr. Dispenza teaches, is that be open to the unknown. It is all about the unknown. You know where you want to be, but how you will get there, this is supposed to be the mystery. This is the mystery of life. So we don't have to know. So Jessica, now with all your rich experience, do you talk to other people? Are you sharing with others? Are you trying to direct others? Maybe some people who watch this video would like to get in touch with you.
Yeah, I am happy to share or encourage or help anyone along their healing journey. I work with several clients, but even if someone just wants some hope or a person to talk to kick ideas off of, I'm willing to talk with anyone. Yeah.
That's beautiful. So we are going to state the contact in the description below. So anyone, if you want to get in touch with Jessica, scroll in the description below and find her contact. You can email Jessica, correct?
Yep.
Okay, very good. And just to wrap this session, to wrap up this interview, I'm offering weekly quantum healing meditations. This is a free group, and you will only get into the group if you email me. So also below in the description is my email, and you can get in touch with me and be part of the quantum healing group. But other than that, Jessica, thank you so much for sharing your journey, and thank you for this amazing miracle. Thank you for being that miracle, and now being there for people who need guidance. This is wonderful, and I'm just my mind stops here, but I also know that this is possible. So I'm really grateful to be able to share your story with others. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me, and also you were a big part of this journey for me. So I really appreciate the work that I've done with you and guiding me back to what I knew. And yeah, I appreciate the opportunity.
It's my pleasure. It was wonderful working and exchanging our healing sessions.
Yes.
So everyone, thank you for watching. Thank you for sharing this video. And until next time, peace and blessings.